Hello, and welcome to ONCA 101, Indemnification and Insurance for Directors and Officers of Ontario Nonprofits. My name is Benjamin Miller. I'm a lawyer who serves nonprofits and charities, and I'm of counsel with the B.I.G charity law group. In this video, I'll review the rules under Ontario's Not-for-Profit Corporations Act for indemnifying directors and officers and purchasing directors and officers insurance. We'll discuss the difference between indemnification and insurance because I've encountered some confusion between these two, and the limits of indemnification and insurance, and finally I'll just mention some special insurance considerations for charities. Just a quick disclaimer before we begin. The following presentation is general legal information, not legal advice tailored to your situation. For advice, reach out to a competent legal advisor or discuss the matter with your insurance advisor if the question is whether or not to purchase insurance in your particular case. I will include my contact information at the end of this video, and you can always visit charitylawgroup.ca to learn more. So just to begin, because I've gotten questions over the years about the difference between indemnification and insurance. Some people use the terms interchangeably. Many people don't even know what indemnification is. It's kind of an odd word. Basically, indemnification is where a non-profit agrees to pay directors or officers for any costs arising out of their role as directors or officers. So let's say you're doing your job, you're doing a fine job as a director, and some beneficiary of the nonprofit is disgruntled, maybe they experienced an injury or something, and they sue you specifically as a director. So a nonprofit can put in its bylaws that all directors, if they get sued, the nonprofit will cover the costs. So that's being indemnified. And it's usually done with a bylaw provision. It can also be done with agreements. In certain cases, directors or officers may have a right to indemnification whether or not you put it in your bylaws. And those are basically cases where they were doing their job just fine, they were investigated or sued or prosecuted and ultimately found innocent. They may have a right to be indemnified. Now, insurance is different. Insurance is the nonprofit goes out and buys insurance, and a company agrees to pay the costs if a director or officer gets sued. So in indemnification, the nonprofit is the one paying to the director or the officer. With insurance, the nonprofit is being paid, or else they're being reimbursed, or their costs are being covered up front by the insurance company. So one is not a replacement for the other. Insurance does not indemnify, and indemnification is not insurance. Now, in both cases, both with indemnification and insurance, there are two crucial limitations that you have to keep in mind so you don't think you're more protected than you actually are. The director and officer must be acting within their role. So if a director is on site, let's say the nonprofit is delivering some kind of program, and the director just happens to be on site, and they do something that causes an injury. They may be doing it in their capacity as a volunteer, but it's not in their capacity as a director, so that will not necessarily be protected or insured. So it's crucial that the directors know when they're acting as directors or officers and when they're not. The second thing is the director and officer must have met their duty of care, and we discussed that in another video on that topic. But if you weren't acting honestly or in good faith, or you weren't acting reasonably, or you didn't get adequate advice, then the insurance company is not going to pay for it, or at least they're going to try to get out of paying for it. So be very careful about meeting your duties of care and learn about what that duty requires of you. And finally, I'll just mention that buying insurance is a bit more complicated for charities. You also have to meet the standards set out in the Charities Accounting Act. So if you have any questions about indemnification or insurance, then please feel free to reach out to me at benjamin.miller@charitylawgroup.ca or visit us at charitylawgroup.ca, and I'm sure we'd be happy to help you with whatever your question is. Thanks for listening.